Right, let's get some reaction, bringing in prisoners' rights activist Miles Bhudu, who joins us on the line. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. We've just listened to the Correctional Services Minister saying that he wants to make make positive changes within the correctional system. From what perspective should he be looking at tackling some of these challenges, as he's made mention there about the focal point being the issue of rehabilitation?
Look, thank you very much for having me. I'm a bit nervous. I'm suffering from panic and anxiety attacks. After I've met with the minister personally in August, he never ever came back to me. But I did need to say, it is society, not prison, that prevents the rehabilitation of prisoners. For rehabilitation is something we all are in need of, and the rehabilitation of society itself has not yet been accomplished. You know, this is reflected also in the fact that so many women and men in prisons are not rehabilitated there. I mean, inside there. And the minister, I want to repeat this. It's unfortunate I had to do it now on the broadcast media, that he will never, ever, all by himself, with his entourage he found there, ever work towards the complete education, training, skills development, so that we get to the rehabilitated project. And that project will be reintegrated, monitored, evaluated, and if needs be, enforced. Now, for as long as the minister, who is the first white Afrikaner minister 30 years down the line, ignored us, you know, play with our feelings, create legitimate expectations, I'm telling you, rehabilitation will remain a myth, because rehabilitation is, in fact, investment. There must be a lot of investment that must be done, and they cannot do it all by themselves.
What kind of investments?
Bricks there that has for years made sure that there is no education, there's no training, there's no skills, there is no proper reintegration, so that the people must keep on coming back to the system. Have you ever heard that in prison, workers has been retrenched, or there is a threat that they will retrench prison warders because of a lack of numbers?
Okay, hold on a little bit. You speak about the importance of intervention. What kind of intervention would be needed here if rehabilitation is to be a success?
Well, we need investment from the private sector, particularly from those who are the captains of industry, those who have access to means of production, those who are both white and black monopoly capitalists. Bring back work. I'm not talking about chain gangs or prison labor. Bring back industries in prison and industrialize this institution so that they start to work. They start to earn a stipend, and they start out of the stipend paying their stay in prison. Start to put money away in a banking account so that when they come out, there's something at least they can hold on. Go to the Department of Social Development and negotiate a grant for those fathers and mothers who are outside and their husbands and their wives are in prison. You know, create a victims trust fund so that the victims of crime and criminals can get compensated through the work that is done in prison. We have so many times made presentation, even at the Portfolio Committee of Correctional Services, long before the Minister of Correctional Services, in his wildest dreams, thought that you'd become a minister someday. And we presented some documents where we're talking about recommendations that were made many years ago to say, Minister, go back to the recommendations of all the millions that has been spent in conferences and revisit the conferences recommendations. It's not ours. It was done by the Department of Justice, Correctional Services, and the police. But the minister never had a decency to come back to us and say, guys, you are talking nonsense. We are moving in a direction. It's either you come with us or you remain behind. I'm very, very nervous about the way the minister has treated us.
Why is it that you think that would be the best solution? What's wrong with the current rehabilitation program? Because there is some level of skills training, and of course the onus is on the individual to want to become part of the programs. If you'll correct me if I'm wrong.
Look, listen, I've been out of prison for 35 years. I spent 6 years in prison. It's almost 40 years. And what I'm talking about, I'm talking out of authority. I'm not talking about research that has been done on Google. I'm talking about holding on. En Afrikaans, let's say, ek hou aan met die organisatie soos 'n dol aan 'n wolkombers. Somebody will explain it to you someday. I'm saying to you, even if they are so-called rehabilitated, they come outside of prison with those certificates and those degrees and those diplomas they've got. It's useless because they are told that, listen here, you have got a criminal record that needs to be expunged in the next 10 years if that record will ever get expunged. So what was the use in the first place? Even the Department of Government don't employ people who has changed the leave and worked very hard to become better persons when they come out of prison. It's just a waste of human, financial, material, and infrastructural resources.
Yeah, I hear you. So you also talk a little bit about how society prevents rehabilitation, and from what I'm gathering is that the odds are against an ex-con who's come out of prison with a degree because society will not integrate that individual.
Well, if society is so intolerable that a man or a woman can only feel him or herself to be a woman or a man in prison, it is the fault of the society, you know? And we can resolve these things if we all sit around the table, talk with one another, look one another in the eyes, and do the right thing. Because, you know, a line has not been drawn. We must draw the line that if you commit a crime, whether it is a white, black, green, blue, or gray color crime, you will be arrested, you will be charged, you will be brought in front of a court of law, and if you are found guilty, you will have to go in there and serve your dues to the community. But that doesn't happen. It happens only to me and you who are poor, who are regarded as second citizens, and are children of a lesser God.
The figures at the moment show that the majority of crimes recommitted by parolees of violent crimes. What is that indicative of?
Because there is no proper reintegration strategies and structures. And we have been screaming and yelling for the past 30 years. You know, you come out of prison, you go home, and because they sign a piece of paper that they will accept you, you stay for 1 or 2 months and they get really tired of you. You don't have an income. You occupy a space that has been occupied, that was never occupied when you went to prison. You are unemployable. You eat the bread of the children that goes to school, and then you start to come with your tendencies that you've learned in prison, being a gangster maybe, or maybe a confrontational. So the Department of Correctional Services had 30 years an opportunity to create proper reintegration strategies, and we have submitted documents of halfway houses. We have submitted documents of daily reporting centers. We've submitted documents of shelters. You know, we've supported so many proposals, and I can speak without any fear here, and nothing came of it. Instead, you got people that had stole 1.8 billion rands from Busasa stealing it from the Department of Correctional Services, and those people are still roaming the corridors of those officers, and are roaming the corridors of power, and are roaming the corridors of nice places, and yet we say no, crime is escalating and there is no formula for. Let's do the right thing. Round out those thieves that stole money from the Department of Correctional Services that was meant to educate, train skills, rehabilitate and reintegrate offenders, so that the ordinary criminal must see that this thing works. But they can see these people are stealing millions, and he goes and steals fat cakes and mincemeat, and he's sentenced to life imprisonment.
Let's veer off this topic slightly. Before we let you go, you've been seen supporting Paseka Mboro, Pastor Mboro Motsweneng, outside the Palm Ridge Magistrates Court. Talk to us about why that has been important to you.
Paseka's case was supposed to be resolved in a family court. That's a family feud. An African seller, there's a family twist. It's something that should have been done under a tree one Sunday morning in the summer breeze. You know, get the councillors, get the chiefs, get the kings, get the queens, and sit under the tree and resolve this family feud. They take it to court because, you know, the white media has a lot of listeners yesterday, today, a lot of viewers on social media, on TV, a lot of papers were sold today because of this passed and borrowed thing. It's a travesty of justice, it's a miscarriage of justice, it's a waste of time, and it's a concoction, and it's a storm in the teacup. Take that case and throw it out of the court. In fact, the state prosecutor that let that matter go on the roll, he must be confronted and ask him, why are you taking such useless cases, put it on the roll, and yet there are crimes in this country committed by those who wear striped suits, white shirts, preferably red print ties, and speak a lot of English and get away with it.
Okay. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Let's let the courts decide. Of course, that was your perspective. We do thank you for your time. Prisoners' rights activist Miles Bhudu speaking to us this evening.